What's going on, everybody? It's JT here. We've got Crypto for Change and C Will over at the Passive Income Network. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
What's going on? Anybody that's visiting us, hit us up in the comments. We are definitely viewing these comments. Any questions, comments, anything you want us to discuss, let us know in those in the chat, and we will certainly be getting to it. But yeah, what do you guys want to talk about today?
Algorand, man. Let's talk price.
Oh, man. I thought we were talking about Polygon.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. We can talk that too. Haven't they been down for like a crazy amount of time and just now like had trouble coming back up?
Actually, yeah, they have. So that would be a good topic to discuss. But
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Polygon's been down before. Solana's been down. I mean, obviously, a lot of the other, I don't know about Avalanche and stuff like some of the other layer ones that are out there, but Algorand.
Yeah, I know Crypto.com, Chronos froze for a little while, for about 2 hours or so a few days ago.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Actually,
I follow all blockchains, so I mean, I missed the Polygon thing, but yeah, I try to follow.
But I did hear that the McDick coin is up 30% since JT started tweeting out about it.
Hell yeah! I mean, you got the signal.
But yeah, so we talking about Algorand price. What we have about 70 cents, huh?
Yeah,
a little less than
I've been doing
$5 billion market
on
cap.
Twitter lately, just kind of going over, seeing what people think about, where it's sitting now, where it was last, almost after the run last year in the summertime. It was sitting around 60 cents, or 67, 68 was the low, and then it kind of sat there for a bit before jumping. I mean, I feel like we're going to bounce soon. I could be very wrong. I actually took a small leverage position. I still have a lot of cash, and I haven't, overextended myself yet, but I've definitely taken a little leverage position every time it gets close to 70 cents because I'm expecting a pop if we can get
So
one.
you talking about leverage as in you trying to go long?
Yeah, on Algorand using AlgoFi.
Okay, yeah. I'm so long on AlgoFi right now. Yeah. So
you're not even waiting to see if it tests 67. You're just going along now.
I'm long, bro, because I don't care how long I gotta wait. Once Algo hit $2.50, $3, and then my plan worked well.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm long a lot of Algos right now.
I was watching this one guy's video too, and he was saying, because I did a video a couple days ago. How many Algos do you need to retire a million, or not retirement, to be a millionaire by 2025, 2030? And his goal was 70,000 Algos by 2025, or to have that many, because he thinks Algorand getting up into like the $15 range or whatever would be solid. So
right now we need 1 million of them to be a millionaire.
Right. At that point, it's like, will even being a millionaire be that good? I saw somebody make a comment.
I know you might be right.
Yeah, that's a crazy point too. I mean, by 2030 or whenever, I mean, we could be millionaires, but that could be, the new like 200,000 there,
Yeah, because it's like gas by then be $30 a gallon, so it's like, does it matter?
I mean, Musk will pretty much be ruling the world. So I feel like here's my wild theory. All right, you ready for this? All this crypto talk, all this crypto stuff, the people who are going to be the richest are going to be the people who are living on Mars or some shit. Like, we're going to be so advanced in like the year 2070 or something, or 2100 or whatever you want to call it. People are going to be living on Mars, and that's only the currency it's going to be used as cryptocurrency.
That whole Mars thing is like, you ever look at a picture of Mars? Like, I'm staying on Earth.
It don't matter. It don't matter. I've watched enough movies.
I ain't gonna live in no bubble. I don't want to live in a bubble on a random planet.
I don't know. It'd be pretty cool though. You got to admit.
No. I'm like,
if they had a safe way of getting you there, you got to be telling me. And if it was affordable.
Well, check this out. You ever went scuba diving or skydiving?
I've been snorkeling.
I'll say this. I've been scuba diving.
All right.
And imagine, it'd be hard to explain if y'all haven't, but you just in the scariest place ever, and if one thing goes wrong, there's no escape. And that's why I see it as Mars. It's like there's nothing there. But what you bring, like when you go scuba diving. You bring what you have, and then you can't do anything until you back up top.
Right. I
Hell
mean,
no.
yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, but that's just me.
In Musk, we trust though. He'd have it figured out.
I don't
I'd
know.
give I'd
Those
give it a shot.
Teslas, yeah, those
Yeah,
Teslas. I don't know.
you know,
I want Starlink though. I'm all for Starlink. I will invest in it. I will promote it, push it. Elon Musk, holla at me.
yeah. If Elon Musk, if you need some investors, hit up C Will.
Exactly. I got you on the Starlink.
So yeah, what are we thinking about the price of Algorand right now? I mean, as you can
Oh,
see,
so can you go back to DeFi Llama? This is very important.
yeah,
I've
of
been studying
course,
the shit out of DeFi Llama. So
of course.
Algorand is like number 32 right now from the last time I checked in terms of total value locked. I think this is a good, discussion here because everyone on Twitter I'm seeing is talking about how do we get Algorand's TVL up, right? And I made a video the other day that was talking about the private chains and co-chains on Algorand. Do y'all know about private and co-chains on Algorand where basically ghost assets or private assets?
I do
Yeah,
not. No.
yeah. I mean, if I was fully aware that there are private chains, but I mean,
So,
I've been seeing this point real quick, just to interject real quick before you make
yep.
yours. But the only thing I want to add is there are many blockchains that have private co-chains, including Ethereum. So I mean,
Hmm.
if companies can make private co-chains on Ethereum, and Ethereum can still reach a massive valuation on its public chain, I don't really see that as a valid reason for why Algorand can't.
Okay. Well, that's where I was heading. 'Cause I was like, it could be a high possibility because it seems like what Algorand doing is they're licensing their tech out to private institutions and companies. Therefore, these institutions are using it, but it's more like a ghost chain now. So that was my idea of like potentially why the total value lock could be down is because like El Salvador potentially could have all their wrapped bitcoins in a private chain that is not visible to us. That I could be right, I could be wrong, but that's my theory on partially why our TVL is lower.
I would say my biggest thing on why TVO is lower. I mean, you really have to think about DeFi on the ability to even lock anything in DeFi on Algorand didn't start until last June. So we're not even a year
Oh
into
wow,
the
yeah, you're
ability
right.
really.
You're right. Yeah.
And you even have to look at that is the platform that started it all was Yieldly, which, like most of us know, I mean, I'm not even going to FUD Yieldly right now, but because at the time it was amazing. It was, I mean, obviously it was the only thing we had, but it looked cool. But it looked cool to 35-year-olds and under, and to 18-year-olds and stuff like that. Like you're not going to get big money to go on to. I mean, I literally was showing people how to use Yieldly early on, and like older people, they couldn't even read the website because all the neon colors. They're like, what does that say?
Yeah,
Like,
that
so
was
like,
made for millennials for sure.
yeah.
These
And
Gen
so
Z.
now what you're seeing with the startup of AlgoFi, you have Humble Swap, you got, all the other,
Pack5.
PackFi, there's so many other legitimate DeFi platforms and protocols coming up. You have Guard, which if it can somehow unlock governance, algos, and then give people the ability to borrow against that, and then go put that onto other platforms and keep compounding. That is when I think you're going to see Algorand start to climb, and that's even outside of the contract to contract stuff we've seen, the the state proofs and all that stuff. So I think it's coming. It's just people who are early. I feel like are like they want the results of Ethereum, but they don't want the time that it took Ethereum to get there. They think because Algorand's faster, tech is better, that it should have that adoption curve faster and better. But the thing is, Ethereum is still here; it's not going anywhere. So I don't get some people's frustrations. I see a lot of frustrations on Twitter with where Algorand's at, but I think it's still in a great spot, and it's a great spot to be accumulating.
Yeah.
I wrote about this exact topic in my recent newsletter, which everyone could go read for free on my Substack right now. Yeah, and I discuss how the TVL is actually probably one of the most important metrics, and I obviously, let's see, wrote right here
Let's make that screen bigger.
all right, let's see, make it a little bigger. Let's see. And let's see. Boom.
Thank you.
All right, so I wrote that Algorand's market cap TVL ratio is 46.4, and the closer to zero you are, the more undervalued you are. The further away from zero, the more overvalued you are. And for reference, Ethereum has a ratio of 2.3, and Terra Luna has a ratio of 1.3. So by this metric, those smart contract platforms are seen pretty close to undervalued, whereas Algorand is seen more as overvalued. And a lot of that has to do with the TVL ratio. And that is basically dividing the market cap by the TVL to get that ratio. And I discussed I discussed pretty much everything you guys mentioned as to, why it's important, what the issues were that prevented the TVL from getting to the point that it's at today, and what's holding it back, and how that's all changing. And I think part of the discussion that is often forgotten about is the fact that Algorand is a non-EVM based chain. So most of the chains in the top 10 are EVM compatible chains, which means, pretty much besides like Solana, all of these can port applications right from Ethereum, pretty much copy paste the source code and port it right over to their app. So that creates this situation where they can port over liquidity super fast, where Algorand can't do that. And the other thing is Algorand has a language called Teal, which most people don't use in this space. So you have this learning curve where you have this brand new virtual machine that no one's used before. You have a contract language that no one's really used before. And then you have other issues such as, as you mentioned, governance, a bunch of tokens locked in governance. But I do think that a lot of that's changing, partially because, as you had mentioned before, we have compatibility coming with Milkamada. We have state proofs coming, which will help to port a lot of this liquidity over. We have a lot of things that are just taking a little bit longer because of the learning curves of the virtual machine and the coding language, which I think Reach is doing a great job helping. And they just, I think, passed 5,000 different developers working on Reach. And from what I'm told, a lot of them are building on Algorand, because I know Reach is a blockchain agnostic thing, but a lot of the woes that we have in the space are completely changing, and it is really, really exciting to see. And I do agree, with what David said. Once AlgoGuard and I think Wrapped Algorand come on board and we can unlock some of this governance liquidity, it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, and it's not even really it's not going to be a game changer for, or the reason it's going to be a big game changer, because you have, if you go on the governance page, you have so many accounts that have, big dollar amounts locked up in governance, and they're the ones who, I'm sure they enjoy the 10%, obviously last time's payout of 17%, 18%. They're making hella money off of, just staking it in governance. But it will be interesting to see how that plays out, along with the new XGov. That got passed through. So I wonder if, if you're an expert governor, if you're going to be able to unlock, if there's going to be a way to unlock that, or is that only for regular governors? It'll be interesting to see how they balance all that out, as time goes on and more things get voted on.
Yeah, there were a lot of big things that a lot of applications are kind of waiting on. One of those being a launchpad and the other one being an Oracle. I personally know of many applications that are waiting for these two products to be able to launch their project. And both of those are in the works. There's a lot of things that's just in the pipeline, whether it's waiting for audits or waiting for an Oracle or a launchpad. So I think 2022 is going to be a huge year, at least for the ecosystem. If we're still in a bear market, it might not be too reflective in the price, but the ecosystem itself is going to expand substantially. And by the time the next bear market comes around, Algorand will be seen as a much more lucrative option and exciting option, because this past bull market, we saw the future potential in it, but there wasn't much going on for the ecosystem at the moment. It really had almost nothing going on, at least during the start of the last bull market. Where the next bull market, whenever that hits, we already have a lot more going on now, and I don't think this bear market's going to end over the next month or two. So by the time it does, I think Algorand is going to have an ecosystem that is a lot more attractive to investors.
Yeah, I can agree with that for sure, because we, like David brought up too, when we, I don't know 6 months ago, we didn't have all these DeFis that we do have, and then the next 6 months we'll triple, double that. I want to compare it to Luna right now, because Luna, hit an all-time high a few days ago. And researching that is because Luna has an algorithmic stable coin,
Yeah.
UST, right? And the more UST that people buy or use or get minted, that backing asset Luna goes up in value. So what I'm seeing is that Algorand, then what we have, what X backed is a stable. We have USDC, which I know they have a freeze function, right, JT? If people don't like that, we got stable is basically attached to AlgoFi, right? So the one thing I'm seeing based on that Terra Luna example is that Algorand would very much so benefit from having one stable coin that everybody uses
Yeah.
instead
Is
of a
it the
whole
only
bunch of them.
is it the only stable coin though? Because the
It's not the only.
the
It's the one that's for the blockchain, basically.
Yeah.
Like a native, because you could pay fees in Luna or you could pay fees in UST.
now
Yeah.
I didn't know it was native because I just thought it was part of the Anchor protocol, which is just an app that's on Luna.
The savings protocol is basically their AlgoFi in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm seeing that value right there because when we look at stable coins, it's like we have a lot on Algorand and more to come. So what is going to be that main stable coin that you pair with Algorand? And I think that is something that I, got out of the Luna ecosystem, why it makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. Then they got a platform that you can basically use like a debit card and stuff to make payments directly through this blockchain, and they working in Korea and whatnot. So all
Yeah.
of that stuff is what if AlgoFi could like again, I think we talked about this before, but figure out a way to have a payment rail of in and out, kind of like what Luna is doing. That drives more total value locked.
Yeah,
Someone in the comments
100%.
saying thoughts on Sean Ford's recent tweets. I don't know if I know what tweets. I know he did like a random AMA last night.
Yeah, we'll do a quick check in a second. I just wanted to show something real
Yeah,
quick
they
before
said,
we jump on this TV,
yeah,
jump
their
off this
sole
TVL
stable
talk.
coin is UST. Yeah,
One thing that Algorand does have going for it right now, I do agree. One of the things it needs more applications because Algorand only has, at least on DeFi Llama, 4 applications contributing to its TVL, whereas like Terra Luna that we just discussed, I believe they have like 24 right now. Ethereum
yep.
has in the hundreds. But I will say, even though the total value locked is down, and this isn't entirely accurate because they actually don't have the perfect AlgoFi TVL, it's off by like 20 million for some reason. But if you click over to Algos, you can see that even though we're down from a 240 million TVL high in USD, we are at almost an all-time high value in terms of Algo, which means there's more people participating. We're just getting hit by this bear market, and
Price, yeah.
by the time Algorand hits the point that it was back in December, when we hit the all-time high in TVL, by the time we get back to that price, TVL will be substantially higher because there's so many more Algo locked into the protocols right now. So I will say that we do have that going for us. So once we turn around, we'll probably be in like the 500 million easily without any more applications, and we have plenty more coming.
See,
Yeah.
my last point on this too is like if applications can focus on the algo, like how AlgoFi is, focus on the algo, that automatically brings so much value rather than
Yeah.
every damn
For the longest time,
application.
it was Yieldly.
Exactly, yes, and it's like so. I don't honestly want any more tokens from y'all. I don't want any more tokens. I want y'all to adopt
With solid
Algorand. Yes, and
farming projects.
exactly. Adopt Algorand better. And I'm like, damn, if you want to do all this, governance, just use NFTs or something. Because I hate having so many tokens that are
So you're
that
saying you're
useless.
not going to ape into Yesp when it launches?
Hell no. No, I'm not. I wanted to, but I just can't do it.
So what tokens are you watching?
So honestly though, Opolis has been wrecked. I'm still watching Opolis based on that. I like the industry it's in. I'm only like I said, I'm hyper focused on Algorand and I like a stable coin, And
Right.
I hear
Yieldly,
you.
I'd be like I was trying to like we talked in a private chat. I like Yieldly in terms of DeFi education. It's a platform I use to educate people on how to use this stuff. And that's why, again, I love Algorand because I can make 25 transactions and not spend one whole dollar. And I think that's useful. And
Yep.
the yields on Yieldly isn't bad, though that some of those coins are shit coins. But if you have the right strategy of swapping your rewards, I still think that's okay. My
Yeah,
opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I have no interest in almost like most of the coins on on the platform, but you know, when I was participating, I would just swap it all back into either Algorand
Exactly.
or whatever was making that pile a little bit bigger to increase the
Exactly.
rewards.
I
Yeah.
will say this: Meerkat 808 said that Yili had the first mover advantage, and they did, and I think they dropped the ball because they had months, guys. They had months of time to roll out products and really hit the ground running and be the leader, and they didn't. Like they
Yeah.
literally let other things come in and say they were going to build it, and then they just scrap it off their roadmap and not even
Yep.
tell the community. And that's the reason why it's waning away. And I know there are still a lot of people who are super bullish on Yieldly, and I still would love Yieldly to turn it around. But honestly, they, in my eyes, there was a lot of red flags like leading up to when I finally let go. And obviously, hindsight's always 2020. I wish I would have let go a lot sooner, but
Yeah.
realistically, first movers don't always win. And I know Seb loves to tote that anytime he's on an AMA or anything like that. But I think that's one of the reasons why Yieldly has fell out of the ASAs that I'm watching. The ASAs I am watching right now, I'm still watching Opulus. I'm not really buying anymore. I've just been letting my, the Opulus I hold earn me more either via Qcoin or on AlgoFi. DeFi is interesting. I don't have any other than maybe like $30 worth of DeFi. And I think it's sitting in the AlgoFi stable smart farming contract. I was actually talking to JT a couple days ago, trying to get some of his insight of when the early investors are going to get theirs and seeing maybe if there's going to be a play there. But I don't know. It seems like a great app, and it seems like at least it has a project that is coming. But it's another one of those things where the token was launched first, and obviously some people are having access to the project, like you and people who are early investors. But for
Well,
me,
they did open it up to pretty much anybody. So if you follow them online, you can actually get a link to test it out yourself as well.
okay, so yeah, I definitely need to do that because that's something that has definitely caught my attention, is wanting to make sure that these platforms or these projects actually have a working project before aping into it. But I do think it's at a good price. I mean, it's come all the way down from almost where it started, and so I do think DeFi is another one. And then there's one other uh, token that's launching soon.
Zone. What about Zone?
Uh, and this sucks because man, I spent a lot of time early on, like talking with Zone and just with the community, Algo Champ Kev, like, trying to help them and and get people, to know what they're going to be bringing to this system. But to me, they're, if you're in their Discord or, I'm in one of their other, communication channels where it's not all the public. It's just some people who help run the community and moderate and stuff. And their communication is I don't want to say as bad as Yieldly, but it's just some people they always say like, all right, we're going to get out something within an hour, and then 24 hours later that information's not there, and it's like, why even say you're going to drop something in an X amount of time and it's not going to be there? So I mean, apparently you can play the chess game, but I don't really care. Like, no one cares about
We haven't.
chess.
It hasn't worked. I mean, we tried a few times.
Yeah, well, I
Unless it
do
works
think,
now,
yeah, I do think the updated element to it is now working. But yet again, I say no one cares about chess. Like, I'm just gonna, that's obvious. Nobody cares about staking coins that don't do shit. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
you found that out. So it's like, and they couldn't even get the staking stuff out, fast, which I will say, and this is not to knock on Yieldly, but I heard that it was because Yieldly wanted a lot of money. Like, they're, hearing stuff through that, they wanted this to, before they would stake it. So that's why it took Zone maybe longer than normal and that's why Zone is partnering with AlgoFi and I think Algo Stake, right? Are they with Algo Stake?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's a confusing ecosystem when you have stuff like that going on. So I still think that if they can get a launch pad, like they initially were, one of the things on the roadmap, I think that'll be cool. And if they can actually integrate some of the bigger name games, but I don't know.
What they did, launch an ecosystem website, a little basic site that kind of compiles all the
Algorand?
project.
Yeah.
It's a ecosystem.algorand or something like that. It was on the Algofy site as well as a link, but the site, of course, is new, so it should be updated more and things of that nature. But yeah, it's like we said with the tokens. It's like a lot of people are finding out that you need the product and not a token first, and it is like a backwards thing to drop a token before you have a product. So it's like you said, what are we even building an economy around if there is no product?
Right. And obviously, a lot of these ASAs are falling just because they're launching in a bear market. I mean, they're not launching when everybody is gung-ho and ready to just flood into brand new projects and not even do their due diligence. Like right now, like Algorand is in like super heightened census mode because there have been rug pulls, not only in ASAs, but also in NFTs. And that's a huge part of especially the crypto Twitter for Algorand. I mean, most of crypto Twitter is, NFTs. Communities and stuff like that. I mean, you just had the big turnover from Akita and that whole community, and that one bled out a little bit. Obviously, then it popped back up some, but I think you're just seeing a lot of people who made a lot of money early on with Algorand's DeFi boom, because there was a small DeFi boom. Tons of people made a lot of money, and then we're like, you know what? I'm good. I know I made a roadmap, but I don't really need to follow through with that because I got enough money to now go pursue another venture. And I think you could see stuff like that happen, even with something like Yieldly. Like if YESP starts to take off for them and they start getting more traction, I would not put it past them to just start to slowly dwindle away Yieldly until it's gone. And then YESP is the only thing that they're worried about.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I can see that happening.
Because you got to understand, guys, these people, they're devs. They're people like us. They just know how to create D-apps.
Well, I will say this. They're not devs. They hire devs. Right.
Well, a
lot of them are entrepreneurs who hire devs, and these projects or these tokens. Again, what we talked about. That's why I like Lee Parsons again, though he be talking crazy, but he has a business beyond crypto, right? In terms of like he built a music business. Now he's doing that on crypto, and that's a lot of these guys we mentioned before. Like they never built anything. They just now have a crypto project, which is a sign that they might or may not be a good entrepreneur. And that's what it takes. A good development team is, on the back end. They don't really do business.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I will say that some of the projects, at least tokens, because I think that was the original question that stemmed all this discussion that I'm looking for are Algofy's token when they launch, the bank token, XBack token whenever they launch and whenever they launch their token. What else?
You might know this answer, JT. Is the bank token, is that going to be distributed to people who are currently using the, because I think it's going to be like a governance token, right?
It is. Yep.
Okay. So is it going to be, so, because that was what, everybody expected from Yieldly was that, that would be the governance token, and even when they created the iYieldly that, people who use the platform would get that token. So then are people using AlgoFi now and borrowing, lending, supplying, are they going to be the ones who get it, or is it just going to be a private seeding and then go live? What do you know about that?
They haven't discussed the exact details yet, just because I don't think they legally can. But they have alluded to plenty of times that the users will be rewarded. So it is under my suspicion that yes, a lot of anybody that's been using it, whether testnet or mainnet, will at least benefit somewhat in the distribution.
Yeah, that would be nice. That's a big thing with like the Cosmos ecosystem that they do is when they launch, they reward people who's already supporting the ecosystem. And if the Algorand community could do more of that, I think more people would want to invest. Because it's like
I think it should be like that. You have all these obviously these venture capitalists that got tons of money and just, they literally could just go around and put $50,000 in each and every little seed round. And then if one of them hits, all they need is one of them to hit, and they've made their money 10 times over. And it's like, yet they're not the ones like, using the platform. That's why, like, when we were deciphering, everybody Googles around like Scaramucci, and everybody loves when he talks about Algorand on like the big on the big
CNBC and
screen
all
on
that.
Fox or whatever it is. Like that's cool and all, but like I highly doubt you use any of Algorand's services. Like you're literally just pumping your own bags because you're somewhere you're invested in the behind the scenes stuff early on.
Yeah, they're buying equity. Like with Algo Dex. Like they're buying these companies up, and then we're putting our money into it so that they can make money too. That's how the game
Yeah.
works. It is a
They're not
weird.
they're not waiting on the algo price to skyrocket to make their money.
No. They're definitely. It seems like it'll be an equity play. That interesting.
I mean, to be fair, though, there definitely are at least some big players that use some of these applications because some of these people that are providing liquidity on some of these decentralized exchanges aren't just small guys like you and I, especially on the stablecoin pools. The reason why
Millions in there.
yeah, exactly, the reason why the stablecoin pools.
Is one of them. Like I think they have a lot of liquidity that's added into these protocols, or at least David Garcia makes it seem that way.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. That borderless.
They might not use it, but like they definitely park their liquidity there and reap the rewards while we all use them for sure.
What I've been hearing is like what I learned from the stock guys, but what was it like Wall Street Bets and stuff? They said a lot of the Wall Street Bet guys is actually hedge fund employees that use personal accounts.
I mean, duh, probably.
Yeah, that would because it's like who has that much money to move the market, So it's like they get their private money and use a personal. I mean, that would make sense of because a whole bunch of us don't have enough to put millions on millions into Tiny Man.
Yep.
No.
Yep. No, not yet. Not yet.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, we're getting there
soon.
Yeah. Hey,
so how y'all feeling about Tiny Man still?
I
use it.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I will say I'm pretty much solely on AlgoFi now. Just
I know. Me too. I'm all AlgoFi.
It is tough though. We'll get to these questions in a sec. I wanted to get to those, but I will say there are occasionally sometimes a token where I need to trade it on Tiny Man because it still has better liquidity. But yeah, other than that, most of the time it's just AlgoFi at this point, just because it's so simple. I'm already farming and staking and lending there, and then I can just click one button and swap, and I don't know, it's just too easy. There's no need.
I have a question here.
Yeah, I do the Zap feature, and
I love the Zap feature.
Me
honestly,
too. The Zap, my favorite.
So here's my question for you guys then, because this is what I feel like we could end up seeing down as the Algorand ecosystem continues. And this is why I'm also saying first mover advantage is not necessarily the best. Is it going to be this shiny new toy that just, slowly but surely, Yieldly did a great job getting to this level of total volume lock. And then AlgoFi came in and just knocked their teeth out and had this level. And then next we got DeFi that's going to come out and offer all these things. And then you got Humble Swap coming right after it. And then boom, one after the next. Do you guys think it's just going to be, that some of these just kind of fall to the wayside later on because of the new shiny toy?
I will say, I mean, that's of course a great point and will happen as new projects out-innovate old projects, but at least for the time being, I don't see anything taking AlgoFi down on from their throne. I mean, DeFi, just for an example, I know you're just throwing out random things, but they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything to add to the TVL because they're just a DEX aggregator. So they're basically using other applications that exist all in like one app. Basically making DeFi on Algorand more convenient.
Right.
But I will say, even Humble Swap, I'm super excited for Humble Swap, and they have a incredible vision for the project, but they're just launching originally with the swapping feature. And, as we see with PactFi that launched, I mean, it's a great DEX, but they're struggling to get to 400,000 TVL. I mean, they can't even hit 1 million yet. I know it's still new, but it's partially because we already have 2 DEXs that work perfectly fine. So I don't see Humble Swap taking over AlgoFi anytime soon, especially because of the lending feature. I will say XBacked and AlgoGuard might be the biggest 2 competitors. AlgoGuard because obviously there's billions locked up in governance right now, and depending on how many people decide to leverage that and use AlgoGuard, they could become the next big app. But other than that, I'm super excited for XBacked. I think they could as well, but the only thing is XBacked is also a lending protocol, and I don't think just being a lending protocol alone will win the TVL war, especially when you have AlgoFi that has so many other functions. So they'll need to bring a little bit more to the table. They do offer something really interesting with their redemptions process of their XUSD token, which is a really interesting process. I really hope AlgoFi actually adds something similar because it creates like a built-in arbitrage mechanism to keep the peg of the token.
Is it kind of like how Terra and Luna does it? Have you watched like how Terra and Luna does their?
No, they do like a burning thing, but basically, there's like an incentive to redeem your XUSD because the XUSD is always backed by like $1 of collateral. So if your XUSD token is for some reason trading for 95 cents, you can just go redeem it for $1 worth of collateral, which like creates this arbitrage process where people are now buying up XUSD token at 95 cents, which brings the price back up to about $1 because you're incentivizing redemptions to pretty much get that peg back up, which is a really interesting incentive there instead of just doing it through the liquidity pools. But yeah, I will say I think the next leading app, if anything, because I think AlgoFi is going to be a monster, will be AlgoGuard, primarily just because anything that can successfully leverage that governance bag, I think is going to be a big hit.
Well, I got a question too. What happens when I don't know how to say the word, the ETNS rewards runs out? Do we all know if there's a way to recycle? Yeah, ANIS. Yeah. Is there a way to recycle fees? Because I'm imagining like when those, I know I said that wrong. When those run out, is there a protocol on liquidity? Like it will, I've seen other blockchains, they'll, take enough swap fees and then they will, charge a fee and then they collect it. And then they put that into liquidity so that it's always locked in. Right. Is there if you heard of anything like that happening once rewards go out? Like the incentivization of using these damn sites.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how all these different, because I'd imagine it's going to be different for every application. I mean, I know there are fees collected on both the decentralized exchanges, but for the swapping fees, I believe at least most of those swapping fees go to liquidity providers already. But yeah, it will be really interesting to see. I know at least with AlgoFi, once we get back into like a bull market, the collateral and borrow rates will shift on demand. I mean, everything's so low right now, so you won't get too much for supplying Algorand per se to AlgoFi as collateral at least. But once demand picks back up, that supply APR will also increase. Much like if you lend on KuCoin, I mean, you can see right now lending USDT, you're only going to get like 3 or 4%. But at the height of the bull market, you were getting 30, 33%, which was absolutely insane, and like anywhere in between, depending on how good people are feeling about the market. So it'll be really interesting. Hopefully those rewards don't run out while we're still in the bear market, because that will, I think, hurt some of these applications a lot. But I don't think it'll matter too much if they can fizzle out the rewards once everything is back in high demand.
And this, guys, is where I think, and even with my pinned tweet, that we are not in crypto winter, elongated bear market. We're about to flip come the end of March, maybe beginning of April, and you're going to see Bitcoin make a new all-time high sometime in July, maybe August of this year, and then you will see the big 60% correction and more FUD and stuff going into 2023. And then obviously you'll have the next Bitcoin halving is what will be the next catalyst to push everything, then everybody will be talking Bitcoin to 500K, a million.
2024 bull run, is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, I don't think I don't hear like I could be totally wrong, obviously, take my words at it, for what they are, but I can't see all of 2022 being down or sideways. Like it's just, I mean, and maybe this is just me being new into the market, but I just can't see it being that way for the entirety. I see a sharp drop at some point soon where we're going to test some level of support, whether that be Bitcoin dropping to, something crazy like 25K. I don't know what it is, but I think that could very likely happen soon within the next couple months with the trend we've been seeing. And when it bounces off of that, I think you're going to see a lot of pressure to go send that thing to the roof. And then you're going to see everybody, aping in, FUD might clear away for whatever purposes. I don't know. I mean, it could be tied around an election or something. Who knows? As far as trying to keep
Or
people's
World War III. Huh?
yeah, I know everybody's got fear right now, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There's still part of me that thinks 2022 is not done with Bitcoin running to new all-time highs. And like I said, could be very wrong. We could be in a bear market for the next year. I mean, and then start the next Bitcoin halving and then run up. But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean,
and JT's gonna bring us all back to ground.
yeah, I'm gonna be the potential bear in this situation. Here's the Bitcoin chart, and this little indicator on the bottom right here, these two, the blue and orange line, this is the moving average, convergence, divergence, and when they cross, it usually indicates a reversal. This is on the monthly, so of course monthly indicators do lag a little bit, but as you can see, we crossed right here on January 1st, which indicates a bearish reversal. And if you go back in history, you can really see the last clear time we broke was, sorry, my mouse is actually dying. I'm going to use this real quick. We broke right here on July 1st of 2018, which signaled, a good 8 or 9 more months of a bear trend for the end of that market. I mean, we did cross right here in December 1st of 2019, and we went down from like 7,000 down to like 4,000, so a good 60% drop there as well.
Here's the one thing why you got that chart up, because I'm not a charter, and you can help me. You can even help me learn. Maybe some of the viewers here learn.
Sure.
One thing I would go scroll down to the bottom of it so you can see, or like zoom it into where you can see the depth of those bars at the bottom, because I'm guessing that's volume, correct?
These ones right at the bottom of this right here, yeah.
No. The bottom down below, lower than that. Yeah, down there. What are those bars representing?
Yeah, to some degree, this is volume.
Okay, so like the depth of, because obviously right before this run, you see it's not, those bars didn't go super deep, but the depth of the bars on the 2018 run are almost about the same depth as the ones you're seeing now. And what I'm thinking is like, we've had the negative, market moving ever since really the November, December of 2021. And it's been, you've had that bear market for a while. But what I'm thinking is what if it's a shorter condensed drop where it's going to be a couple months of just bad bleeding like we're seeing, followed by a quick recovery and bounce back.
Each bear seems to get shorter.
Yes, but I would say not really, because I don't really consider this this one right here too much, because most of it really was an uptrend until COVID, which I think was an anomaly. So if you count, the
we have the potential catalysts, which are anomalies right now, which is World War III.
Yeah,
I mean, you have so
just
many
by prices. I think it's going to drive up, because when we look at donations to Ukraine and whatnot, and Russians getting their accounts cut off.
To some degree, I mean, I will say yes, the accounts getting cut off is a perfect kind of advertisement for crypto. But also, I will say to your first point, to donations for some degree could actually be a down pressure type of scenario, because you're donating these crypto, and more often than not, they're selling them for whatever currency they need to buy their goods. So a lot of donations could actually create a lot of sell pressure, which I support donations. I just wouldn't put that up there as one of my bullish causes for crypto.
Yeah. So basically, they need to donate USDC. Right?
Yes, exactly. Donate USDC.
But you said what, David?
I was just saying, like that area of the chart right there where you see that big candle wick down for 20. I'm guessing that's COVID, and the world economy shutting down COVID, right there.
Yeah. Right here, yeah.
That is more or less what I'm thinking could happen right here coming in the next few months, is we get some dramatic news, something crazy happens on the political, global, world economic scale that just throws everything into a frenzy. Tech, commodities, are all haywire. And then you see a fast recovery when, things start implementing, or maybe crypto is seen in that good light. Like if, something crazier happens with, the financial infrastructure. I don't really know what it would be, but that would be maybe my thoughts as we see a quick wick down. But it's one like we saw in COVID that is recovered fairly fast and is not something that has to take 8-9 months to recover from or go through, I guess you would say.
I will say this. I mean, at least on the weekly, there are some good signs. I mean, sorry, my mouse is dying. It's such a fucking pain in the ass. But let's see. As you can see here, we are still on a macro uptrend. So we have a higher low and a higher low here, which is pretty great. I'm just hearing an echo now, but that's all right. So that's a good sign. I do predict that Bitcoin will have a pump soon, but I do have a sneaking suspicion it's going to get rejected right here on
Yeah.
this moving average around $47,000. So I think we're gonna see a pump probably from 40,000 to about 47, maybe slightly above it to give people the illusion that we're regaining that as support. But I do think we're gonna get rejected around that point. I do hope
Yeah,
to
no,
be wrong.
Yeah, and I
Um,
still think that's very true. It's gonna play out. Like I'm not suspecting this bull run if it were to start until possibly, May to June would maybe be the kickstart of it, and then you would see it take all the way through July. But I don't know. I just haven't bought into the notion. And like I said, this could be me shooting myself. I mean, I've longed Algo already a little bit. I'm ready to long it more, but
it's your
honestly,
bias. That's what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
at this point, I'd love to see Algorand just nuke to like 50 cents.
Yes.
Just so then I can fully long it and almost do what Sewell said earlier, just like set it and forget it, and whatever
That's what I'm
happens,
on.
happens.
JT don't like married.
Yeah, I made a point the other day to never marry a coin, but or a bag to be specific. I mean that with stocks or anything. And I love Algorand, but I will even say that stands true for Algorand too. I mean, I don't see it happening anytime soon, but if in 3, 4, 5 years or even shorter or longer, whatever, something new and better comes out, you can't go down with a sinking ship if a newer and better technology comes out. I mean, it would be like being super long Blockbuster because it was great at the time, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden Netflix comes out. And nobody could see that coming. I mean, who knows? I mean, I think Algorand is the Netflix, but what comes after that? So like you don't want to go down with the ship. You want to adapt with your environment, really.
I guess that and that obviously begs another question: is like is Algorand taking too long to start hyping its product and just relying on the tech? I mean, I know
I think people are too damn impatient.
You think okay?
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, if we talked about this before, if you look at any company that is mega big, whether Tesla, Apple, Google, it took 25 years. We were all babies when they dropped. So we're in the baby stage, highly likely of just Algorand or any of these cryptos. They're all babies still, even Ethereum, when you compare it to the stock market
Yeah.
or foreign exchange market, it's like no money. So I think when we're like much more mature grown men, I feel like crypto will be like, a lot better and huger. We don't know which ones are going to be around, but I think what it is, it's just, I think our lack of patience for these investors. Because it's like people got to admit, are you a trader or are you a long-term investor? Or do you do both?
I feel like that's the hard part because I feel like everybody is a mix of both, even though they
Yes, you
want
should
to,
be.
or maybe not even being a mix of both. But I feel like people ping pong back between both. They try longing something, it makes them a lot of money, and then they follow it all the way down the bear market, and then they're like, "Fuck, I should have been trading this stuff." So then they start to be trading, and then they get burned on there, and then they're like, "No, I'm going back to holding diamond hands, baby." And then they diamond hand something all the way up for it to fall again, and then they're back. It's probably the emotional game that's played on with the algorithms and how they trade, and they know your emotions and how most investors are emotional with it. I think that's definitely one of the bigger things is people just they don't.
That's a good poll to have. We got to ask people: Are you a trader or are you a long term or you do?
No,
both?
you already know the answer. Everybody's gonna say I'm diamond hand. I'm diamond hand. No, you ain't diamond hand. You're diamond hand until that thing gets.
Hey, I'm Diamond Hand Algorand though. Trust me, by my Algofy account, I'm like,
Hey, like,
I'm long.
let's be real though. I mean, it really comes back to the point that everyone should have a plan and stick to it. Really not deviate away from it. I mean, people like to deviate away from their plans when things are going too good because they're like, oh, this isn't going to stop. I'm not, screw that plan. I'm just going to keep on riding this to the top because but it's one of the reasons why I really advocate having a steady stablecoin position, even if it's 5% or 10%, because it forces you to either profit take or buy the dip. And what I mean by that is if you have a stash that's 10% stablecoins and that's what you're trying to keep it at, if your main coin goes up 2 or 3 times in value, your portfolio is way bigger. Now your cash position, when you look at it all together, might only be 3 or 4% of your portfolio because everything else has risen so much against it. So now you're incentivized to sell some of your winners to get your cash position back to 10%. And it's the same way the other way around. If you have a 10% cash position and prices dump a bunch and all of your coins are down by like 20, 30%, that means your cash position is now probably 15, 20% of your portfolio, and that incentivizes you to buy the dip and bring that back down to 10%. So it
Sound
really
like
is.
Kevin O'Leary right now.
It's a great thing to do. I mean, I don't know why people don't do it or don't listen to some of the educational content because none of this is advice. But
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
it is like a rule I found for myself too, especially learning with Opolis and a few other things that I've been involved with. If you
yeah,
got any bag that 2-3x, you have to take some. Period. Like
yeah.
no matter what the hell it is, because 2 to 3x is not normal. If it 10x, you better take it. Because it's not normal to get something that fast.
Hey,
Because it's
let's just remember, nobody went broke by taking profit.
facts.
Let's all take a moment of silence for the bags. David
I got a
still
question. I got a
for
question too.
Optimus.
All right, for y'all, how far do you go when it comes to taking profit? Like, do you go from coin to stable coin, or do you literally put cash into your bank account?
uh, uh,
It depends on the situation. I very rarely cash out unless I really need to. And by cash out, I mean cash out all the way to a bank account.
Yep.
Um, but I also profit take differently depending on the token too. Like if I got into a token that I only wanted to get into for a trade, I just wanted to make some money, then I'll probably get out with most of it or all of it depending on what it did. But if it's a token I want to hold long term or I still think has a lot of potential and it wasn't just a trade or because of some hype, I'll profit take a little bit at a time. So just like you dollar cost average in, I'll usually do the same thing out. So like I'll take 10 or 20% out, and then if it goes up a little bit more, 10 or 20% more out, and so forth until maybe I get most of it out because it keeps going out. But I at least took out some profit along the way. But yeah, I've yet to send anything back to a bank unless I really needed it for some reason.
yeah, all the money I use or all the money that I have in crypto is money that me and my wife we don't need and we shouldn't need unless some catastrophic emergency were to happen and I would have to liquidate and go get stuff. But one thing I have done and I'm going to implement on the next run, and which is I think also a cool thing that we have in the Algorand ecosystem is as I take those gains instead of if I don't want to because a lot of people think okay if I roll say you're holding Algo right now and you're building and let's say in the next few months Algo runs to $4. It has a spike over a couple weeks. It's cruising to new all-time highs. Here's the question everyone's going to be asking. Okay, do I sell and then risk, because everybody's
Running
got
at $10.
this idea of Algo, it's going to go to, it's worth 10. It's worth way more than that because the tech's better, because this is better, So then everybody's going to think, I don't want to move it to USDC or I don't want to move it to cash because then I don't make any money. I'm going to miss out on that. The FOMO is going to kick in. And so that's why people end up holding, even if it drops 20, 30%, like, no, it's going to test support. It's going to keep running. What I think I'm going to do to still keep myself invested in something that's still going to earn me something is move the profits into properties on Lofty AI. Now, this is just my strategy. But as I take gains, and not all of them, like I'm still going to have a stable coin position, but I am going to move some of those gains into like for, say it's going to, after it hits its high, say it trades down and sideways for the next 8 months. Well, if you put it in Lofty AI, that money that you make, say you make $10, $15, $20,000 and you put some of that into properties, the amount of money you make on rent daily not only will buy you more tokens during that whole time and more properties, but then when you're ready to sell and say you think Algorand's at a juicy level or whatever crypto you're buying, then you can sell those properties back, get your money and probably some appreciation in the property value, and then you rinse and repeat. That is that is going to be my thought process and way I'm going to formulate throughout the next bull market. And I really hope it helps me get to be that millionaire status.
Hell
Yeah, I
yeah.
really want to add to all of that because, I felt similar. I mean, part of the reason I look at charts so much, even though some people don't think technical analysis works, is it at least gives you some guidance and a little bit more confidence in a position that you're taking. Of course, nothing is ever 100%, so it's not like you could look at an indicator and be like, oh, this is a bullish indicator, and it's just always going to be bullish. That's just not how it works, but it can at least give you a little bit more confidence in your position. Uh, so I will exit. I use a couple different indicators on charts, and I also use the fear and greed index. So if the greed is, over like 90, I'm exiting a lot. If the greed's over like 70, 75, I'm just taking a little bit of profits. And I play it, based on indicators on the charts as well. But, I felt the same way when I took profits on Opulus because my charts around 530 were saying, you should sell. So I did. So I sold most of it, and I really should have left a little bit of moon bag because it ran to almost $8 after I sold. Granted, fast forward a couple weeks, and I looked like a genius because I sold at $5.30. So
Yep.
you're always going to get that feeling that if you sold and it continues to run, you're going to be like, kicking yourself in the ass, so to speak. But you really shouldn't because you made some profit. You took it. You never went broke taking profits. You
No.
really
No.
should. But always leave a little moon bag because you never know. I mean,
And I
it
think
could it could keep running. And to your point earlier, David, switching to your profits to Lofty, I think that's a great idea. And you could even take it one step further and withdraw your rental income that you make on Lofty and supply it, withdraw it as USDC or Algorand and supply it as collateral to AlgoFi and start borrowing and lending and farming and staking with the rental income you make from Lofty. So there,
Facts.
there,
Yeah.
there are a lot of good ways to leverage the profits that you should secure for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all that is great because it's like essentially putting your money into a harder asset. Um, so I mean, I agree with all of that. I'm definitely doing that. One more thing I do too, I still implement the yield farming strategy of taking all my rewards. So like when we on the way up, that's when I'm really cashing out those rewards and implementing.
one question I have posed to you guys, and this is something just with the new talk about the Falcon keys. I've been trying to do some research, the quantum proof Falcon keys that Algorand has, and how this is going to help its security. And so, do either of you guys, or does anybody in the comments know, like, because I've heard people saying that like these quantum computers or whatever how smart these computers are would somehow be able to infiltrate and figure out the 25 word private keys and figure that stuff out. Now, is that just saying for like smart contracts and unlocking like things in a smart contract, or is that saying that like if you have your private keys held in your browser on your computer and all these with the way this stuff is, that someone or some supercomputer, I don't even know what this stuff is, could somehow hack into wallets that are maybe not full cold storage? And I've read a few articles going over the security of this quantum, Falcon key stuff, and it just makes me start to wonder how safe are wallets like my Algo or the Para wallet with and stuff like that. What's your all's
Well,
thoughts? If you have
shit.
any.
One of us need to get Rand Labs on the call then, because that's a great question.
I actually made a video a long time ago before Algorand even got Chris. I think actually they just got Chris Picard on the team, but long before they started talking about this exact discussion. And this video was titled "Quantum Computers Stealing Crypto: The Quantum Threat to Blockchain." I made that in July of 2021,
Okay.
and it does discuss this exact issue. I mean, it was a pretty lesser viewed topic because nobody really understood it, I think, but it is an issue.
It would be a lesser viewed topic until it happens, and then
Yeah.
everybody's going to be searching and finding that video.
No,
Facts.
well, to be fair too, it was like the first 2 months when I was making videos, so the quality's not that great, but
Yeah.
and the information's good though. I think that's all that matters. But regardless, I do think it's an issue for sure. Quantum computers certainly could hack blockchains and passwords, whether they're on a hot wallet or a cold wallet. So it is certainly an issue, and it's
Even like a
really
ledger, or is it like only on like warm wallets, like wallets that are like you have your private key and it's not a custodian held, but you wrote it down on a piece of paper, but isn't like, is there?
You'll be like the thing is the reason why blockchains are so secure right now is because the way computers are currently, it would take really basically thousands of years for them to do the mathematic equations, like to be able to hack the blockchains themselves. But quantum computers will get to a point where they can do all these complex problems within like seconds or minutes. So yeah, it is certainly an issue, and it is good that Algorand is taking the effort to make sure that their blockchain itself is quantum proof, because as of right now, a blockchain itself has never been hacked. The Bitcoin blockchain's never been hacked. Bitcoin wallets and exchanges have been hacked, and
not the blockchain. No.
And smart contracts on a blockchain have been hacked, and like there have been exploits in applications, but there's never been a hack on a blockchain. But that will become a threat once quantum computing becomes more of a reality. Some people think it's a bigger threat than others. But
how far are we away from stuff like that, do you think? Like time horizon?
Probably like 10, 15 years,
I would say
maybe.
10 years. I read this. Yeah. I watched this long YouTube video that talked about all the new technologies coming out. Yeah. We're talking about
this is shit I watch at like 10 o'clock. So y'all got to send me some links.
I will. They got some like smart cement now and like all kind of things that are coming out where it's like the algae inside the cement, if it cracks, it will regrow to fill the hole. I'm talking about all kind of shit like that. So I've seen some quantum computing stuff on there. It all looks amazing. But if Algorand's doing the Falcon keys, I see that then based on this conversation, I have not researched it, so now I'm guessing. But I'm guessing then you could take quantum technology and integrate it into a blockchain to make it more secure so they can, I would assume, fight the other quantum computers.
Like get the good,
take Ultron, you know what I mean? Like we put Ultron in there and
it's Skynet. This is fucking Terminator. That's what this shit is.
Well, I mean, the Algorand team has a Turing Award-winning scientist. I think 2 different Nobel Prize winners. So they have some of the best.
Silvio ain't gonna be around forever.
True, but we currently have the brightest minds working on this issue, so I'm certainly not too concerned, especially because it is some years away. So I think they'll be good. But I know
how y'all feel? I'm pivoting. How y'all feel about the ledgers? Like, because I see that ledgers are, from my understanding, I have one as well, but you need still to connect to the internet and to some type of phone or laptop to actually send stuff. I thought you could send ledger from like just straight from the ledger. Like I thought you could do that.
You have to have some form of connection. The only crypto I even hold on my ledger still is most of my ETH based, and I sold all my ETH. So I have DOT, I have Link, I have quite a bit of.
I got my ledger somewhere. I just have Bitcoin. I'm like only Bitcoin on there.
Until I buy more ETH to be able to actually send them off if I ever wanted to.
Yeah, it's basically just a way to keep your keys more secure, but of course you still need to have some sort of connection just for that split second that you're signing the transaction to send it, basically. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think Ledger is and just wallets in general, like hardware wallets in general. I think there's Trezor and there's a couple other kinds. They're great. I don't know which brand is technically the best at this point, but I will say try to get whatever hardware wallet you get straight from the source, because sometimes you have people on like eBay or Amazon that already hack into these wallets and then give you words that they already know, and then once you load crypto on it, they already know your password, and so just go straight from the source. Don't go to like any third party.
Yeah, I got mine from Ledger, the website, with the official packaging. Yeah, I've been hearing about all kind of sneaky, scammy stuff like that. But that's, again, why I like software wallets, because, I just like the ability to plug it into anywhere I'm at. Yeah. And especially if the Ledger, I just realized I'm already on the internet.
Out of the Algorand wallets, which ones are your all's favorites?
I use my Algo for my laptop and then Parawallet on my phone.
Yeah, I use the MyAlgo wallet too.
That's my main wallet is MyAlgo.
And then I use the DeFi wallet, which is basically you can import any of them. So you can import the same wallet you have in the MyAlgo or the Para wallet as long as you have the passphrase for it. So let's get to these questions real quick before we sign off. I know you got a couple things to do later on, David.
Yep.
Let's see. Yep. We've got main question is, what's the best way to maximize our algo? Currently lending in AlgoFi. What are your thoughts between all of us? Who wants to take this one first?
I would say my favorite on AlgoFi is the stable Algo coin pool, because like you get a cash position and then you also get your algo position. So you kind of, fight the downsides, but and you get a yield, right? So that is my favorite on there. That would be my answer.
For me, what is the best way to maximize your algo? So, I mean, it's kind of twofold because obviously there's security and there's safety, and then there's risk and reward. I think the most secure and safe way is to just have your algo in governance. Build your stack, for the long term, whatever that may be, and then have it in your wallet. Commit however much you want to, and if you want to trade and swing trade some, keep that amount out of governance and on an exchange, or not on an exchange, but in your wallet, ready to swap or whatever it may be. And then if you want to do more risk reward type stuff, at the moment, AlgoFi obviously is the best place with the Aeneas rewards. Until those go away, it's the best place to earn the best yield. And just like JT has done countless videos on his YouTube channel, so make sure to go watch them. But there's tons of ways in which you can literally supply your algo. Say you put 10,000 in, then you could go borrow like $5,000 worth of
Stable,
USDC, swap it for more algo, then go put that algo back on AlgoFi.
That's how you go long.
Exactly. Yeah. You're in effect, you're going long, like starting.
That's why I did a lot of that too.
Yeah, but there's risk there, and I want to make sure everybody is aware.
I got liquidated also on my other account, so that's the risk. It's liquidation. I've done that.
You got to make sure that you have, like right now, the amount of USDC I've borrowed. I actually have that. I have that amount of USDC in my wallets ready to pay off that loan if I need to. And that's where, like, unless Algorand flash crashes to like 50 cents, 40 cents, or something crazy where I'm like, all right, this is the bottom, and I know, like, I'm not gonna go hyper long on it yet. But once it does, crash something like that, I would consider going hyper long. But then you have so many other ways in which you can use your algo on AlgoFi. But outside of that, governance is the most secure and safe. AlgoFi is the most, best risk, best reward.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly what my answer was going to be. So let's move on to this next one. We've got, has anyone heard any recent news about Limewire and Algorand?
I have.
They're back and they're creating an NFT platform, bro. What if Limewire somehow like resurrects and becomes like this like leading NFT marketplace? All I gotta say,
I used to steal my music from them.
Yeah, I loved Limewire. Yeah.
It better be the logo. It better be the old school logo.
The old school logo, yeah.
They better not try anything funny. Like I would put a little bit into that if they even if they drop the crypto for the token. I just for nostalgia.
So I did look up Dequency. It seems like an interesting project in terms of music licensing for NFTs. Pretty much that's what I got out of it. So they could hook up with Limewire if Limewire is doing an NFT marketplace. So I don't know much about that, but it would make sense if they're going to pair those two together.
Yeah, it would be. So they're making their NFT marketplace on Algorand. I saw that they were coming back, but I haven't had time to do the research.
I don't know which market. I don't know if it was on Algorand or not.
AlgoFi just released a tweet that said, "Heads up, AlgoFi will be launching Nanoswap next week on March 18th."
What the hell does that mean?
It says users will be able to swap stable coins, stable USDC and USDT with minimal price impact and ultra low fees. So
it's basically trying to be the cheapest way to go between stable coins, because like certain protocols and certain price impacts, you still have a good amount of difference sometimes when you're switching between one stable coin and another, especially if you're doing it at large quantities. So stable.
The USDC I noticed is off.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
sorry, just want to throw that out there. I saw it.
No, that's exciting. Let's see. Do we know the full tokenomics of Algorand, circulation, etc.? Yeah, I mean, that information is certainly available out there right now. I mean, we're not going to dive too deep into it because it's probably a pretty complex topic, but we're at about 67 or 68% circulating supply last I checked, which is pretty good. That leaves only 32% or whatever.
3 billion, basically 3 billion coins.
That's over the next 8 years.
Over the next 8 years,
8 years, yeah. So 2030, all coins will be out in circulation. So yeah, we got 8 years to get 30% out, essentially.
Yeah, which is.
I still feel like during this 8 years, some type of governance vote is going to come up that's going to attack or try to fix or make better the tokenomics that Algorand has. my thoughts.
Well, the
But
thing
yeah,
is
how
too,
can
I
we
mean,
make how we make it better if it's already 10 billion? And once it's out, that's it.
yeah, the only thing you could do is just adjust the release rate
Yeah.
of the tokens between now and then. You could maybe even extend it to 2035 to lessen the inflation between now and then. But I will say most of
So
the
on that burn,
they could. I mean, they could in theory vote on burning, but and they do technically have a burn wallet that has like 25 million Algorand in it, which technically they could use, or really any application could create an app that has some sort of like burning part of it, where that maybe certain parts of the fee are burned and they send it to the burn address that Algorand already has, because
yeah.
a lot of people don't know, but they bought back tokens when they first launched. People went very underwater because the token did very poorly when it first launched. So the Algorand Foundation actually did a buyback of a lot of tokens and they burned those tokens. So there's actually an address out there with 25, 30 million tokens that will never be
Yeah,
seen again.
yeah.
I will say it
How's
would
it?
take a lot. It would take a lot of burn to actually really affect the price of.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to do any burning, but
Yeah, how would you burn on Algorand? Because burning essentially has to delete the tokens.
well, most blockchains are like this too, where you actually uh, aren't really deleting the tokens. You're just sending it to a dead address that like nobody can
Nobody
access,
has the
basically.
keys to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, it still technically is on the blockchain, but it's just not being
But
used.
nobody can
But it
access.
wouldn't be part of the circulating supply anymore. Like technically, yeah, it wouldn't change the total supply. There would still somewhere be 10 billion tokens, but it wouldn't be in the circulating supply because it's stuck in a wallet that has no keys to it.
But how about this? I know a guy that lost his keys for his Algorand wallet, 900 Algos. So would that technically count as burned
Yeah.
then?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually part of the argument I made in my newsletter, is that eventually we'll reach a point where Algorand is deflationary versus inflationary, because once we reach a point in 2030 where there's no more tokens entering the market, we'll have a deflationary effect, because I don't think we're ever going to reach a point where people aren't losing their passwords, their keys,
Yeah.
or maybe their phones, or even their hardware wallets themselves. So we'll still have millions of tokens being lost throughout time, lessening the circulating supply. So,
And I feel
once
like
go for it.
there
Yep.
are like different platforms and protocols that track like active versus deactive wallets, because I mean you got to think a lot of the things that are probably tracking Bitcoin's circulating supply and liquid supply. I mean, Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet has how many Bitcoin in it, and it hasn't moved since Bitcoin started. So like imagine that happening, but you can track maybe some big accounts lose their algo or as that happens, and you'd be able to see how long accounts have been dormant and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, well, at least we do know that would keep a price stable if a wallet has a whole bunch of coins in it that are not buying or selling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
in theory, and of course, anyone is the greatest thing about a permissionless blockchain is anyone is free to create an application that creates some sort of burning mechanism. It doesn't even have to come from the foundation itself. It could be a permissionless application that part of the fees are burnt and sent to that burn address wallet, or maybe a new burn address wallet that's created.
Yeah, you could literally call it the deflationary algo, DApp or something. Just be like, send algos here.
Yeah.
I know, burn them.
Help us burn more
Throw your
algos.
money away.
I don't think people would do it just like that, but I could see like something
You
that's
get a cool
actually,
NFT.
see
get a
something
cool
that's actually
NFT.
useful, where like Tiny Man, for instance, there's two different sets of fees. There's one set of fees that goes into the Tiny Man treasury, and then there's one set of fees that goes to the liquidity providers. They collect those fees, and that's what incentivizes liquidity. But what if they gave the fees to liquidity providers, and then the rest of the fees they were just burnt?
Yeah.
So I mean, any application is free to do something like that, and it would be interesting to see if something like that does spring up.
Yeah, proof of work chains though tend to do better with deflationary talk, because that's the whole point of like proof of work is you have them trying to get do the things to get the next block, and then you can burn a certain amount of especially like with Ethereum, you can burn a certain amount of those the gas fees and everything's being sent. And that's, that was what they were, with the London Bridge or whatever that was.
Berlin Fork or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a way. It's all interesting. I seen another comment with Damien Brown. Transfer USDC instantly, or do you got to wait? If you're using Coinbase, Damien, you always got to wait. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Use crypto.com, bro.
One of the earlier questions that I think we didn't get to talk to was someone was saying like asking about like the leadership team.
Yeah, I know on Coinbase there was at least a point in time where I was able to get instant transfers. I don't know what caused this or if I did anything in particular, but I don't have access to that anymore. So yeah,
I don't either.
anytime
used
you
to
buy
have it.
something, it takes typically at least like 5 business days for the bank to actually clear it, and then Coinbase to allow you to take the money off the thing. Because I mean, I get it, because what you could do is you could, buy the USDC and get the USDC from Coinbase, take it off their exchange, and then cancel the transaction with your bank and say it was like a fraudulent transaction.
Yep.
So it is kind of their safety as well to make sure, because I'm sure a lot of people have done that, to be honest.
Yeah. And I would still say use crypto.com. It takes 1 day to whitelist your wallet to remove funds. The fees are cheaper on there. And if you do the ACH bank transfer, that takes about 3 days, but 0 fees.
Yeah, and get your coins off the exchanges anyway. They're all not that great, but Coinbase is not that great anyway.
Coinbase is terrible.
Yeah, and if you have to use Coinbase, switch to Coinbase Pro, because the fees are like 10 times lower. But I think we can just about wrap it up. What do you think?
Yeah. I think we good.
I know we don't have time. I got to head out, but I know that the Stripe news was pretty big for Algorand. I don't know if y'all want to keep talking about it, but I will have to head out. But I know a lot of people are talking about that on the news feeds, and if y'all want to bring that up and show it to everybody, y'all can.
Yeah, I gotta run too. But let's save Stripe for the next one.
Save it for another time. Sounds good to me. I appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for talking to me and the rest of the Algo fam. I'm sure we all appreciate it.
Yep. Tap in on Twitter, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Yep.
Of course. Yeah. Subscribe to C. Will's YouTube channel, the Passive Income Network. Subscribe to Crypto for Change. And if you haven't for some reason, subscribe to this channel, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you later, everyone.